All right. Well, welcome to Dr. Mac's first member meeting of 2025. Today's meeting will be focused on sharing resources that support the immigrant, refugee, and low-income communities. Towards the end of the meeting, we will be unveiling an exciting new feature exclusive to Dr. Mac members this year. As usual, Steph will begin the meeting by reminding us all of our mission and addressing some Zoom housekeeping items.
Thanks, Colleen. For those of you who are new to our meetings, welcome. We wanted to share our mission at the beginning of each meeting just to remind ourselves kind of who we are, who Dr. Mac is. So our mission kind of takes a multi-level approach to inform and empower people to overcome mobility barriers through education, collaboration, advocacy, and just really overall enhance the quality of life. If you haven't done so already, I saw that some of you all already did. Please go ahead and type your name and organization into the chat. We kindly ask that everyone stay muted unless you're speaking, but feel free to use the question or the chat as needed to share questions, ask questions, or share comments. You can also use the raise your hand function to be called on. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and do some brief staff introductions and updates from the Dr. Mac team. And just to share with you all, unfortunately, Arthur and Maria aren't able to join us today, so it'll just be the rest of us. So Latoya will kick us off with the staff updates.
Thanks, Steph. For those who don't know me, I'm Latoya Prenti. I'm the Operations and Development Manager here. And I'm still working with volunteers. We would love to have some. So if you know anybody who's looking for something to do and would like to give back in any way they can, I think this is a really good opportunity to really help with mobility issues for folks, considering that's how we get to and from where we got to go. So if you know anybody, please reach out. My email is on the main page, but I'll also add it into the chat. So thanks so much, Steph.
Yeah, thanks. Hi again. I'm Stephanie O'Neill, Program Manager, Special Projects here at Dr. Mac. I oversee our programming, so really working on our technology training. We sent out an email. I'll be talking a little bit about it later in the meeting. Also, travel training, as always, we're starting to fill up our spring sessions and summer sessions. So if you're looking to get some travel training set up for your community, please reach out to us. We offer trainings in English and Spanish and other languages as well. So super excited for the upcoming year. Malia?
Thanks, Steph. Hi, I'm Malia Munson. I'm the Administrative Project Coordinator here at Dr. Mac. And I am currently working on setting up our new database in Bloomerang. And that's how we can improve. We're trying to improve how we track and engage with our members and supporters. The effort aligns with our strategic plan to enhance data management and ensure more effective communication and streamline operations. Valeria?
Thanks, Malia. Hi, everyone. I'm Valeria Martinez. I'm the Bilingual Program and Training Assistant. I'm fairly new to Dr. Mac, but I got to meet some of you in person last week at our luncheon. So I'm excited to be here with you all and see you again.
All right, so now it's on to me. So a little bit about the luncheon recap. For those who didn't get to attend, you guys missed something really great, and we missed you guys. We had a huge turnout, as you can see in the photos above, but really we talked about everything that's going on within the LCCs in each county. We had a guest speaker from each county come in and talk about any updates, what their plans are moving forward, what accomplishments they've had. There's been tons of feedback from all of this, which is great work. That's really the goal here with these local coordinating councils, is where everybody comes in and really talks about their issues in their counties, transportation barriers, who are falling through the cracks, where that fits in for, transit providers and things like that. So we did have this is our second year doing this, very successful both years. And I really think the biggest piece behind this is when everybody comes together and shares this information. And that's really what our RCC is really about as well, is a good spot for everybody to come and really talk about what's going on within their counties, where there's success, where there's needed improvements, and things like that, any kind of support needed, any kind of projects that are on the ground that could be potentially worked on, things like that. So I really wanted to give a feedback. Like I said, really great success here. We look forward to continue doing this down the road with Dr. Mack, and we love any feedback. I will be sending out some surveys. I did send out a thank you letter, and that thread was really a good purpose for really collaboration and in communication, as I said in that thank you letter. So if you would like a little bit more information, I also put my information in the chat. You can reach out to me. I could give you a little bit of updates on what happened, and maybe connect you with some more folks that had attended and maybe have some collaboration opportunities there. So, yep, that's neat stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Latoya. Yeah, it was so exciting to have everyone there. Got to see so many people that I only see virtually in person. So thanks to all who attended. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Chloe Grant from West Corridor. So Chloe's working on a project in Sun Valley that Dr. Mack is also helping out with. So I'm so excited for her to share some more information about it with us. Chloe, the floor is yours.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Steph. And hi, everyone. I'm Chloe. I actually used to work for Mobility for All with Angel Bond. So I think I've met a couple of you at my previous job there about 3 years ago. And I see Sarah and Melissa are on the chat. So hello, everyone. Good to see you. So now I work for West Corridor, which is a transportation management association. We do transportation demand management work. So we put on fun campaigns and events and host different kinds of things to get folks using sustainable transportation modes. We are involved with Dr. Cog's Way to Go program that puts on Bike to Work Day, Go-Tober, all those fun campaigns to get folks moving sustainably. So that's a little bit about the organization I work for. I do, oh, thanks, Sarah. I do a lot of events and program management for West Corridor. And right now we're working on a really exciting grant that Dr. Mack is also a part of. And I don't have any slides, but I'm just going to explain a little bit about what this grant is. We're in the beginning stages of it, so we're still working through the kinks of some things, but we wanted to just explain what we're working on. So it's a really exciting and innovative grant in Sun Valley. We actually just started this grant in December, and this grant was funded by the Denver Regional Council of Governments, Dr. Cog, for a transportation improvement program set aside funding. That's a lot of different words, which you might know, but basically this grant helps us do very specific work in a very specific place, which is Sun Valley. These are called Mobility Welcome Kits. So that's the name of our grant. And we are working in a lot of Southwest Denver, but very focused on Sun Valley, which, as you probably know, if you're in Denver, it's a historically disadvantaged and underfunded neighborhood. So we're really excited to be doing some more work in this neighborhood. It's also one of the fastest growing developments in Denver right now. And we are going to be working directly with the Denver Housing Authority. So with DHA, who builds affordable and low-income housing in the area. There's tons of new development coming, but there is a ton of low-income units coming into the area as well. So they're building a ton of new units, but we're working with 1,000 of these new units, and 87% of these new units are also going to be lower income units, which is amazing. So what we're doing with this project is we're building out physical welcome kits for these folks that are transportation related, but then also have tons of resources about other community-led organizations and nonprofits in the area that can support folks who are moving into this area. So we'll be printing out 1,000 of these folders to give out, and they'll have printed resources from all kinds of different partners in the area. We're working with RTD, Dr. Mack, of course, Colorado Car Share, a bunch of other awesome organizations in the area that do really amazing work for transportation resources. But then we're also working with different folks like the youth center in the area, the rec center, the library, all different kinds of things that people can use when they're moving into a new unit in a new neighborhood and might need some support getting around. We're also offering some transit passes and some other free passes, such as things for Lime and Bird in the area as well. So we're offering some really important things to get folks moving around in the area. And yeah, we're really excited to be working with lower income folks, youth, families, older adults. That's really what the welcome kits are geared towards. So we're focusing mostly on those areas of folks in the Sun Valley neighborhood. And where we're at right now, we are currently meeting with all of our partners in the area to get to know what resources make sense to include. They're mostly flyers. We're also going to likely include a map commissioned by a local artist that has different landmarks and fun places in the area. We're debating between putting it on a magnet or a poster and having folks be able to hang it up after they get the kit as a new fun thing when they move in, to remind them of all the places that they can get to on sustainable transportation when they look at the map or magnet. And again, we're adding a ton of information about the local transit system in the area, free RTD passes, car sharing, micromobility options, shuttle systems like the Denver Connector that just came into that area, and Bikes Together, which is, if you don't know, it's an awesome nonprofit that supports folks learning how to change the tires on their own bike and do different mechanical things to it, and gives out free bikes to folks, or discounted bikes to folks. So we're really excited to be pushing all of those amazing organizations in the area, but yeah, excited to also push different organizations like the Rec Center and Community Kitchen Center in the area too. And then the welcome kits will be put together in a folder that we design as well. So we're really excited to have some fun marketing with this and be able to use some fun graphic design to get this out to folks and get people excited about traveling around the area. And we're almost done with meeting all of our partners and finalizing the resources that are actually going into the kits. But once we're done, we'll be putting them together and we'll be giving these out at events. So we're really excited to be planning a bunch of really fun events on site to meet a bunch of residents and talk to them about what's in the kits, how they can use it. We'll likely have Dr. Mac at one of those events. If any of you are interested in getting involved in this, we're more than happy to have you if you want to promote your programs to these residents in Sun Valley. And we're hoping to have those happen in late April, early May. So we're really excited to get these out. We're slowly getting all the resources to get these ready at that time. And then later on in the year, we're also going to be hosting events in late summer, early fall that are more workshop and educational focused. So we're hoping to host a travel training or something along those lines with Dr. Mac. We've talked about doing an event with the police department and Lyman Bird and the youth center to teach kids and families how to use micromobility options in the area, as much as we would rather have kids not be using those resources. We know they are, so it's better if we get them out safely, get them helmets, and teach them about how to use them safely. So those are just some examples of some of the educational workshops that we're thinking of hosting, but still, again, figuring out the kinks for those events as well. But we're really excited to start building out all of these events with all of the amazing partners that we're working with. And yeah, we're very excited to just finish up this project and excited to share more as we continue building it out. We're, again, still figuring out a lot, but we think it's a really innovative and exciting project for a lot of new developments, not only lower income developments that are coming into the area, but also big apartment developments that can include information about transportation options in the area, because a lot of times there's so many great options, but people just don't know about it. So it's a really great way to spread information and resources to new residents coming into Denver. So if you have any ideas or questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. I won't be able to stay on the call for this whole meeting, but I will put my information in the chat if you want to email me and contact me later. I'm not totally sure how much time I have left, but if you want to ask any questions or put things in the chat, feel free. Oh yeah, Jamie, go for it.
Yeah, I noticed in Montbello, with the connector, they were having capacity issues, especially during the times where the kids were trying to get to school, because unfortunately our Denver schools don't put a lot of money into transportation. So I'm just curious if there's any education towards seniors to kind of like trying to balance that, to say, the hours that would be more convenient for you might be between 10 and 2. So we avoid that capacity issue. It would be a lot easier on them. So it's just a nice suggestion, saying, to avoid that issue, maybe use it during those hours. It might be good for your conversations when you're talking to groups that have a mix of seniors and kids. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's such an amazing suggestion. And we'll also likely have the folks from the city and transportation infrastructure from Dottie come to these events to explain the connector since it's a new service in the area. I don't think they've had a crazy amount of ridership yet in the Denver connector, but it's something as we build ridership, which we're very much hoping and expecting that to happen in that area, to definitely explain since I've heard of that in Montbello. So I appreciate it. And yeah, Brent, I think I saw your hand raised next.
Yes, does the 9 still one down there?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Does the 9
Oh, yes, exactly.
it still ones down there?
I think so. That's a good question. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive. We haven't fully built out our list of transportation options in the area, so I'll have to double check that. But
Because they used to go down there.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a few different bus lines, and I know the W goes around there as well. So there's a couple of different transit options in the area. Awesome. Thank you. And I think Jennifer, you had a question as well.
Yes. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm with an organization called Aftersight. We work with the blind and low vision community, putting printed material into audio format. And just addressing your situation with the transportation and new things that are going into the city, we are looking to help out organizations to be able to put this out on the airs in our broadcasts and Spotify, whatever, so that people know what's going on. Do you have a plan at the moment in terms of getting out your events to these communities so that they know they can come, they can hear about it? And again, I'll put my information also in the chat for anybody, is that we would love to be able to do PSAs to announce this in between our broadcast shows of what's happening in whatever sector here in Colorado about transportation, because as you can understand, with the blind and low vision community, transportation is so key. And what I've understood with other situations going on with RTD is that some of those accessibility programs are being taken away or limited. And so we're just on we're trying to be on the cutting edge of promoting and getting out resources to our community that are outside of maybe just RTD or Uber or Lyft. So just want to make ourselves available. I'll put my information in there, but do you guys have a plan in terms of this community that I'm speaking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much for bringing that up, and love what you all do. That's so good to hear. So we are doing a marketing and outreach plan as we're getting together how to market all of these events to all of these folks. The grant is specifically with DHA residents, so we're not going to be promoting events and different resources to folks outside of DHA. So it'll be pretty specific with their channel. So we'll likely be working with folks who work directly at the sites to get out information, the community organizers who work at the buildings. So it'll be pretty specific to that specific group of people. But I think you bring up a great point, and we do need to be making materials that are accessible to folks who are low vision, folks who need different types of materials. So I think that's something that we would love to speak with you about and figure out how we can make those accessible to all folks we're working with. So I really appreciate it.
Perfect.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. I might be missing some things in the chat. Let's see. Awesome. Okay, cool. I think I answered all the questions, but thank you so much for having me. This was really fun, and it's really great getting to see you all again or meet you again. And again, if you have any questions, I'll put my information in the chat. Please reach out with any resources or information you think is important to put in these, since we're still getting things up and running. So appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chloe. All right, so our next speaker, so we're joined by Kim Christensen from Mile High United Way, who'll be sharing some information about the resources they have for newcomer families and low-income communities in the Denver area. So Kim, take it away.
Hi, thanks, Stephanie. My name is Kim Christensen, Manager of Disaster Response at Mile High United Way. And our disaster response program is housed within 211 Colorado. So today I'm going to give a brief overview of 211 Colorado, and then we'll also talk about specifically our newcomer response and the resources we have in regard to that population. And then also we'll talk about our website and how you can build resource lists for the communities you serve to get them connected to the resources that they need. Also, if I have a lot of background noise, let me know. I'm in the call center today, and sometimes my mic picks up. So if it's bad, let me know. That being said, can I, Stephanie, share my screen and go ahead with my presentation?
Yes, you should be
fine?
able to.
Okay, great. Let me test it out here quick. Alrighty, can everyone see their presentation? It is a woman on the
Yep.
screen. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so usually if this is in person, I would have people raise hands, but with Zoom, it's kind of hard. I hope a lot of you have heard of 211, but if not, 211 is a multilingual confidential resource center. We are Mile High United Way is based here in Denver, and we connect the community to basic needs resources like food, shelter, rental assistance, childcare, and transportation. DRMAC is actually a resource that we give out quite often to a lot of our callers to get them connected to the transportation resources that they need. Our database contains over 7,000 services. And so if you're calling in for a range of issues, we more than likely have a resource. I started at 211 3 years ago as a childcare specialist, and so I would take calls for childcare and other needs. I once had an elderly gentleman call in asking for someone to help him walk his dog, and we did have a resource for that. So it really is basic needs, but if someone is facing an issue and they don't know how to solve it, they should call 211 and we'll at least, see what information we have. Alrighty, so where does 211, there's a lot of 3-digit numbers, right? Where does 211 fit with that? 911 is, of course, for emergencies. 988 is mental health crisis, and 211 is kind of a connector. So sometimes we may have someone call in an escalated state, and they need mental health support services that maybe our navigators aren't trained to do. They need a mental health professional. If that's the case, we will transfer them to 988. But vice versa for 988 and 911, maybe someone's calling those lines and they've gotten to a better place and now they need wraparound services. They need things like food, housing and shelter, utility bill payment assistance, things like that. We have partnerships with 988 and 911 to transfer them to 211 to kind of get that holistic care. And so this graph is kind of helpful too when you're thinking of 211 and where does it fit. We are kind of like Health and Human Services side, right? We're not necessarily emergency, but certainly wraparound services for folks that may be in those emergency states to get them stabilized and in a better place. And I also am going to continue through this presentation. I'll pause afterwards. If you do have questions, please drop them in the chat and we can kind of do a catch up after. All right, so just some perspective, call volume. Again, they're 211 Colorado, the Mile High United Way, we cover 24 counties in Colorado. So if you drew a line across Colorado, we're like the northern half is what we're covering. There are 4 call centers in this state though, just again for awareness. But we all work together and share the same database. So if you're calling from Western Colorado, you can get the same information as if you're calling from Denver. But right here on the screen, this is from, actually, we just finished our 2024 annual impact report. If anyone's interested, I can send that out as well. We served a total of 170,000 contacts last year. Most people are calling us, but we also do have chat, text, and email. If folks don't want to call in, they can text 898-211, or they can go to our website to chat with the navigator. We have a system in place where we do automated callbacks. And so our answer rate is around 99%. If someone calls in and they want to be connected, they don't want to wait on hold, they can press a button and we'll call them back. And we don't leave until all calls are answered. So for some peace of mind, I know a lot of you work with these populations are being bounced from place to place. We promise that we will get to your call. Our average speed of answer is about 6 minutes. So on average, someone might be waiting on hold for about 6 minutes. But again, if they don't want to wait, they can press that button and we'll get a return call. Average length of call is about 8 minutes. That varies though. We are not a call center where we're trying to get the most calls we can get every day, right? We're talking to that person. We're health and human services. So we're trying to connect that person to the best resources to really get them in a better place. We hope that after they hang up the phone with 211, they feel better about their situations and have tangible things in hand that can better their situation. So I mean, when I took calls, I would be on a call for 45 minutes with someone. That's not impossible, but on average, we're getting these people resources and on their way. We also, about half of our staff are bilingual. So we can serve Spanish speaking population. We also have a translation line that if someone is speaking a language that none of our navigators speak, we can call into TransPerfect is what it's called, and have a live translator on the phone. TransPerfect can translate languages, 170 languages, I believe. And so we'll often have case managers call 211 just to use our translation services. And that is open for you all as well. If you're talking to someone and you need someone who speaks their language, call 211 and we can connect you to TransPerfect. And if all you need is a translation service, we will excuse ourselves off the phone and just route you there. But if you'd like us to stay on for extra help, we certainly can. So next slide, because I know I'm pressed for time here. Again, top needs and unmet needs. Oftentimes too, when we're talking to community partners, we're serving similar populations and we're wondering what is our community needing. So from the last year, overall what we saw, and this will surprise no one, the top need is housing. However, let me back up. What's the difference between met and unmet? Met means when they called into 211, we could find resources for their need. Unmet means when they called into 211, we could not find resources for their need. And that may not because we didn't have a resource for that specific need. It may be eligibility. So this housing resource is for 65 and older. So that's not going to work for a 30-year-old, right? So just some context there. But top met needs, housing, food, utility. Number 4, individual, family, and community support is case management. And 5, income support and assistance. So of course, these are pretty general categories and probably not surprising to anyone. But one thing that 211 can do is kind of dig into the data of a certain zip code and we can kind of get specific. Like maybe there was an unmet, let me give you a real world example. During COVID, a lot of new moms needed formula. And so we got a call from a state partner and we kind of recognized that we had a lot of unmet needs for formula. And so we communicated that back to the state agencies because they, of course, were asking, what are you seeing in this time? And we're saying, okay, this county needs formula. And we can kind of mobilize community resources to make sure that unmet need in whatever area that is gets served. Now, that's in an ideal world, right? We try to do our best to look at our data, but it's a good way that 211 can kind of be the connector in that way. We can kind of see what's going on in certain areas. Now, it's almost 2 o'clock, so I'm going to kind of speed through this. I apologize. I know I'm talking fast and we're flying through, but you'll get these materials at the end too, and I'll save time for questions. So in general, we are a resource and connection, or resource and referral connection. We also have what we call direct lines of service. So there are 4 programs that we would consider our direct lines of service. I'll go into kind of numbers now, but to list them off, we have our Ride United program, where we can schedule free Lyft rides for folks to meet their basic needs. We have our SNAP line, which helps folks fill out food stamp applications. And once we fill out the application, it's sent directly to their county's DHS. We are not a government agency, so we're not proving or denying, but we can help folks fill out that application. Third is our family health line, where we connect new families to WIC, baby formula, baby food, things like that for new families. And then lastly, our childcare line, where we can provide childcare referrals for parents. There is a statewide database through an initiative called Colorado Shines, and that database is managed by the state, but we have access to that database to then give referrals to parents. So any childcare referrals we're giving, they are licensed providers, and it goes through the state. So those are our 4 direct lines of service. In 2024, we scheduled 1,941 rides, which is a 74% increase from 2023. Transportation is a huge need. This funding comes from United Way Worldwide, just as context. These last 2 numbers here, 188 rides to support critical immediate needs, such as same-day shelter for the night. So let's say somebody calls in and says, I have a spot at this shelter I also have a hot meal at this location. We can dispatch them a ride to get to the hot meal and then get to their shelter, which can be life-changing, as we know, in our cold winter months. Typically, if you were to tell someone to call into 211 to ask for a Lyft ride, we're going to give them other resources first, right? Like we're going to make sure that they're using Via Mobility or these other resources. But if there's really no other options for them, or it's a critical need like food or shelter, we can do those same day rides, just for context and how that program works. We really want to look at long-term sustainability of every caller. So we want to make sure we're providing them with resources and not just giving them that free ride. Lastly, we provided 1,103 rides for our newcomer population in the last year. And that was to access legal services. Oftentimes they would go to their court appointments or to see their case managers, things like that. The family health line, we're going to kind of speed through these, but over 5,600 referrals for expecting or new parents with children under the age of 5. So again, new families. And the top needs for our family health line was Medicaid, WIC, and food pantries. So again, these are low income populations that we are serving. Childcare connection. I don't know that we have the exact number, and I could probably find that, but thousands of childcare referrals in a year is what we're providing. But these numbers are kind of demographically breaking that down. So around 65% of our callers have children aged 3 years old or younger. It's like a really high need. Infant care in particular. Luckily with universal pre-K, that takes care of that age group, but those younger age groups are still, underserved. Around 53% of our callers are parents who are eligible for CCAP. And 41% of the parents who are calling our childcare line earn less than $25,000 a year annually. I do want to say with this, there are no income requirements for really any of our services. Obviously, the resources in our 211 database are beneficial to low-income folks, but a child care resource line, there's no income limitations, and we have parents of varying income levels calling because child care is an issue for everyone, regardless. So SNAP applications, we completed 1,222 SNAP applications this past year, which is great. I'm going to continue on. I am the manager of disaster response, so I should touch on disaster response. What you're seeing on the screen here are disasters that 211 has responded to. We really got involved after COVID, and I'm going to spare you the whole long story, but as a call center, a statewide call center, we get the calls anyway. So when a disaster is happening, people are going to call us. And at first we kind of United Way would say, no, we're going to stay away from disasters. We're just a continuous, community resource. But then as COVID happened, we realized we're going to get the calls anyway. We might as well set up an infrastructure that can serve our community in times of disaster. So what we're seeing on this screen are things that we've worked with. Our senior director, Casey Harlows, was actually deployed to Virginia this past year to respond to Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton through a program called DRMAC, which is just a great thing to highlight. Casey is very, I think, respected in the disaster response space, and 211 is kind of taking a more active role in that response. I am here today to talk about newcomer response. We include a new immigrant influx and Afghan and Ukraine refugee integration, in our disaster response networks, because a disaster is something that affects a large group of people over a certain period of time, right? And so we're seeing these populations that are underserved. We kind of consider this a disaster of sorts, and we want to make sure that 211 is prepared to respond. We're getting to the end here. Thank you for sticking with me. This is a slide on how you can get involved or learn more about 211. This was a very, very high level overview I showed you guys today. We will get more into the newcomer response side of things and how to make resource lists, but I wanted to level set with what is 211 first. So if you want a more in-depth presentation or you want to learn more about what we do, here's some contact information and here's how you can get involved. So again, after the presentation, I did email this over to Stephanie, so I'll make sure that this gets out, and I'll drop my information in the chat too. So that is all in 211. Let's take a brief pause. Any questions about that before I get into newcomer response? Anything in the chat that I'm missing?
I don't see anything.
Okay, great. Then we'll keep plugging along. So this is 211colorado.org. This is our website. Is everyone seeing a website? I should say 211 Colorado.
Yes.
Okay, great. So all of the resources in our database can be found on this website. So if you are working with someone and you want to get them a resource list, any information that a navigator has, you have access to it on our website. Obviously, it's nice to call in because a navigator will walk you through our services and kind of give you a tailored resource list that's best for you. But you know, with the populations that anyone on this call may serve, it can be helpful to make resource lists. Maybe you see people that kind of have the same recurring issues. You want a general list for people that come into your office. I want to have a couple rent resources, a couple food resources, a couple transportation resources, whatever that may be. You can make lists. And I have, let's see here. I will include this in the email, but there are instructions on how to make a resource list in this PDF. It's very, very simple. You just go to our website, you click login, and then you can create an account and you go ahead and search. So I'll show you guys all now how to search. So let's say that I'm looking for food assistance. Actually, let's just do food. It's more general. And I am downtown, so I need 80205 as my zip code. I click search. That is going to get me a resource list of all of the food assistance resources that 211 has, starting with the closest resource to 80205 and then working out. And then you can add these to a resource list. So you can click add to a list and you can create a list. Maybe I'm going to say this is for Dr. Rack. I don't know. Create the list and then that resource is added. Okay. So this is really important, I think, especially in newcomer response. We have a resource list specific to newcomers. And I say newcomer to kind of hopefully include people of all citizenship statuses, whether they're a refugee or a migrant or whatever, they're just whatever they may be. This is for any people looking for help as a newcomer. So this is going to provide a lot of information on right here is the city's immigrant support toolkit, which is actually what the city has created. But we have that linked on our website with city resources, legal resources, and things like that. We also have the 211 Colorado Immigration Resource Guide. So if you click here, that's going to be all the resources that we have in our database for newcomers. So you can look through those. If you were looking for newcomers, though, it might just be easier to, you know, you could search for like legal resources maybe. And then on that resource, you can see it will say like eligible for all or must be a citizen. Like it'll have that sort of distinguishment. Sorry, I have to get back here. So you can make those resource lists. One way that 211 can help, and this is actually within our Salesforce, I just wanted to show you this today. This is information that I've kind of compiled for our navigators. We are, you know, hopefully a resource hub and an information hub. And so we're trying to educate ourselves best we can, but we know things are changing very, very rapidly in this space. And so as there's new executive order signed or as there's new policy that goes into place, I try to update our information. And so our navigators are at least up to date. And then also, you know, our resources are up to date as well. So what 211 can help with, let's say you're talking to a newcomer and you don't know really where to start. If you encourage them to call 211, we have Spanish speaking staff, and this is what we can help with. We have resources for basic needs, like the things I kind of reviewed, right? Food, rent, shelter, things like that. We also have legal assistance resources and job search assistance resources. We have some information on family reunification, and we also have translation services. And we also are educating our navigators on the public charge rule and know your rights campaigns. I think know your rights campaigns is the best information that we can get out there at this time. And so I would encourage you all to get this information to your staff. And I can share these links, but there's a lot of great information on the city's website and also just through other resources that have been shared by state partners. And so I would get this information in front of your staff and from the people that you work with, as we have found there's a lot of interest in that, and that's most helpful. So we can help with that. And lastly, childcare resources. We have information for that as well. So we try to be as holistic as possible, knowing that things are changing every day, and we're doing our best to keep things up to date. We don't record the status of any caller, and we are a confidential resource again. So we try to make sure that we are a safe and trusted community partner, and we do that by having accurate information. So if you ever maybe call into 211 and you want to update some resources or things like that, you can also contact our database team for those updates. All right, how am I doing on time? I can stop sharing for questions or conversation or whatever that may be. I can also go more in depth about certain things, Stephanie, if you think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think if anyone has any questions about anything, specific that Kim has talked about, we can maybe answer a few of those. This has been a lot of really good information, and that was one of my questions was, is any information required to be disclosed by the caller? But it sounds like no, and it's
Nope.
confidential, so awesome.
Yep, we will ask some basic demographic information questions just to get to know the caller. Like we have, for example, resources for veterans. So if you're a veteran, we want to know that so we can get you those resources. But if we start to ask those questions and someone shares they don't want to answer any of them, we'll just skip it and go on to the search. So really nothing is required. If you want accurate information, we need at least a zip code. But other than that, don't share anything.
So yeah, does anyone have any other questions for Kim?
I did send most of these materials, I think, to you, Stephanie, super last minute. But if you need anything else from me, let me know and I can pass it along. So
awesome. Yeah, I will plan on sharing those out. We'll be sending an email tomorrow to everyone in this meeting, so I'll plan on including those materials in there.
great,
But,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on, and I am going to pass it off to Valeria.
Beautiful. Thank you so much to our presenters. So our member meetings are a time for all of our members to network and to share updates, but we also like to spotlight a few members from time to time. So today we will be spotlighting 2 of our members. We're going to start off with Melissa with the Chanda Center. So Melissa, feel free to come off mute and let us know if you need anything else from us.
All right, thank you so much. I am Melissa, care coordinator at the Chanda Center for Health, and our mission is to deliver, advocate, and educate for integrative therapy and other complementary services to reduce health disparities and costs by improving health equity. And so we provide access to acupuncture, massage, chiropractic, physical therapy, behavioral health, care coordination, and primary care through various programs where our services are available on site, as well as massage, acupuncture, and chiropractic being available through Medicaid, the complementary and integrative healthcare waiver, throughout the state. And we primarily serve folks with spinal cord injuries, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, spina bifida, and brain injuries. However, we do provide services for everyone. Our doors are open for everyone. And then Stephanie, will play a video from our founder, Chanda Hinton. And if you have any questions after that, I'd love to answer them for you.
Just give me 1 second when I get that pulled up. If you can't hear the video, just let me know, unmute, but it should be good to go.
When I was 9 years old, I was shot in the back of the neck by a .22 rifle. It was quite an innocent accident. A young boy who thought the rifle had been on safety, but there was a bullet left in the chamber. So while we had some disagreements about popsicles, when he picked up the gun, it discharged and it entered the back of my neck. And so that severed my spinal cord. I don't have mobility from basically my armpit down. From 9 until I was 21, I had a lot of health complications. So when I turned 21, I started having pretty severe chronic pain. I got so sick that I became bedbound. I weighed 59 pounds and I had to be hospitalized using medical intervention to basically save my life. Given they were like, oh, well, we saved your life, go back and do what you were doing before. At that time, my sister who had been participating in yoga had recommended, like, well, why don't we try acupuncture, massage, chiropractic, movement? Because one, it's not a medication that comes with a side effect, but rather it's a substitution for what Chanda's body needs. And that's really what sparked a much deeper conversation about, wait, we need to really redefine the way that we're approaching Chanda's spinal cord injury. And I tell people every day that integrative therapies absolutely saved my life and continue to save my life. And now that I've found this amazing way of maintaining my wellness and improving my quality of life, I want to make that available to other people. We need to create an organization that allows folks with disabilities to have access to these services. That was kind of the birth of the Chanda Center for Health. And now Colorado Medicaid is funding acupuncture, massage, chiropractic, so that folks that live with injury or disabilities, we're ensuring that it's equitable and it's accessible for all.
Thank you for playing the video. Does anybody have any more questions about what we do, what we offer, who can come see us?
Yeah,
Yes, Jamie.
I just wanted to comment. I've known Chanda for a long time, and she's kind of like one of my touchstone heroes. And the key here was that she had to really fight for a couple of years at the Capitol, going, testifying, practically begging the state to include Medicaid to be spent on this project, and she was successful. So she is one of our disability heroes. And that, from one disability person to another, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. And she has not stopped advocating. She continues to advocate and continues to make sure that everyone has access to all the health care they need.
Beautiful. Any other questions from the group? Okay, thank you, Melissa, for your work and for sharing a little bit of your work with us today.
Thank you.
Amazing. And then the next spotlight that we have for today is Olga Garcia with the City and County of Denver, Aging and Consumer Financial Protection Division.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay. Someone else is sharing.
Should be good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, can everybody see that one?
It looks like it's still loading for me.
Well, I can at least start. So my name is Olga Garcia. I work as the director of a division called Aging and Consumer Financial Protection. We're under the Agency of Human Rights and Community Partnerships here at the city. The agency's been around for about 75 years, if you can imagine that. It's a good one. It's small but mighty, I like to say. Let's see, anyway, it's not loading still?
I don't think so. If you want to try one more time, just
Yeah, I can do that,
stop
sure.
share and then start.
Okay. Share. All right. Doesn't look like it's sharing, does it? Can you see that at all? No. For some reason, it's paused, it says. Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't look.
can share maybe the link with Steph or Malia, and we can share on our end.
This one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if it's possible, it doesn't seem like it's loading, but if it's possible to just kind of talk through
Yeah, of course.
without the slides, that would
Sure. So I wanted to show one, and what I'll do is put in the chat this one link to the Denver Human Services data maps. And that's a really good one. We like to look at that from time to time because it helps inform our work, right? So it gives us an idea. The city and county of Denver, it shows total population broken out by age, a lot of different categories, including senior well-being. And so we dedicated our division to working with older adults, 55 plus, but the data maps show some really interesting impacts around 65 plus. So what we do is we like to say we're the age. We also have a commission. So the HRCP, our agency, has 10 commissions. Ours is called the Denver Commission on Aging. And so what we do is we try to work with people that are volunteers in our community that are really our eyes and ears in the community to help our work, to give us insights, and to ultimately provide the deeper dive, so to speak, in terms of how we can better assist older adults in our community as it continues to grow. So we have a membership, I think capacity is about 21 people. We're getting close to it. I think we have close to about 17 people on the commission, and they meet monthly. They get after outreach into the older adult communication. We have a Facebook page, and then also advocacy to try to keep track of public policy initiatives. We know that the state demographer's office helps inform our data maps. And what they're projecting is by the year 2025, that older adults 65 and older will be at about 103,448 people. Currently, it's right around 82,600. So it's going to be increasing as we go. By the year 2050, they're projected 127% increase from 2020, which would put us right a little bit under 200,000 older adults 65 plus. So what we want to do is, continue to be informed in terms of how do we address people. Can you see that now? Hopefully.
We ended up just swapping back to our slides because it wasn't loading. So sorry about
Okay, because now it's loaded, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's still paused.
I don't
Anyway,
see it.
I'll
But
just
Olga, if you want to email it to me, I can try to see if it will pop out on my end.
Yeah, I can do that, I suppose. But I just want to keep going as well because I know we're pressed for time. But in any case, I'll go ahead and share this data map with everybody because I think it's important that everybody has access to be better informed about the census tracts, and they're not like as current as we'd like them to be. Of course, I think some of these data maps are like from 2023 or 2020, but it still gives us a pretty good snapshot of what the neighborhoods look like in terms of, for example, you can see the percentage of people 65 and older in that particular census tract, whether they're living alone, whether they're living with a disability of some sort. So that really is helpful for us as a agency to figure out, well, what are some of the underlying issues that we should be paying attention to. And so some of the challenges to aging in Denver, of course, there's quite a few, but we understand that people ages 65 and older, 11% of them are living in poverty, below the federal poverty level. 44.5% of Denver households 62 plus spend about more than 30% of their income on housing. The 2024 point in time count indicated that adults 55 plus, at least almost 17% were experiencing homelessness. And I gotta say, the 311 calls that we get coming to our office are becoming more and more around evictions, around just needs for affordable housing. So even though there's a lot of effort around new builds and that sort of thing, we have to get smarter as we anticipate it continuing to become an issue, as 211 pointed out and other people have been pointing out. 39% of those surveyed older adults reported a problem with feeling lonely and isolated. That's a huge problem, and it started before COVID, but I think COVID really exacerbated that. And we're finding that it has become a critical indicator to sustainable well-being for older adults, especially. So anything that we could do to provide maybe tech resources to keep them engaged, even though they don't want to go out of their home much. But social isolation is becoming a real critical issue in our community. 34% have specific healthcare needs, and that is greater in marginalized communities as well. 73% report that it's likely that they will remain in the community throughout their retirement, and 71% report not knowing what services are available to them in the community. So I think those are folks that are involved with social media campaign, maybe even looking at traditional mass marketing opportunities to do informing the public, if you will, of what is available, what resources are there, and how do you access those resources will be really key in years coming up. I wanted to just spend a minute to talk about the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. They're the ones behind the Denver Connector shuttle service. They operate from Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. They offer their services in English and Spanish currently, but they started out with this service several years ago in the Montbello Gateway area. Then they expanded it to Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea. And in early December, they opened their services, as you may know, in West Denver. And so it's quite a large swatch of that part of the city. And it offers free ride share vans. 9 of them are wheelchair accessible. And that's through the whole system, by the way, not just to West Denver. But people can call or they can download the app. They can call their services as 720-905-4438. And trips can begin and end within their service areas. I wish they could go outside of their service areas a little bit, but currently they're not able to do that. But I'm so happy that Dr. Mack is going to be inviting the folks from Denver Connector to do their own presentation. We have a program that is a mobile unit as well with aging. It's called the Denver Connect, not to be confused with Denver Connector. But it's a bilingual resource materials that we take out into the community. It's like a pop-up office, if you will. People can go into the Denver Connect van and utilize tech tools that we have on board. We also work with the nonprofit organizations across the city to take the van, to take our resources there and help people apply for SNAP, LEAP, health, housing, work options, etc. It is an ADA accessible van, so yeah, we welcome people to actually come inside the van, and it's equipped to be able to help people on the spot wherever we go. So that's another really good service that we offer. We also have an older adult resource guide that we are updating to include all of HRCP actually. So hopefully that'll be coming out fairly soon. But we've offered our own older adult resource guide now for several years. And I'll make sure that it's offered in a QR code. We're doing a a reprint of hard copies, and the hard copies actually have enlarged print on each of the pages so that older adults can, read. If they have low vision, they can actually read it fairly easily. But we also offer cart services for anybody that needs additional access, for accessibility for all of our services that we offer at the city. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that data maps in the chat so that folks can have access to it. I also put my own email address there so that you can contact us directly for anything what we may be able to help you with. I mean, there's a lot that the city offers, obviously. I just wanted to give you that one little piece, a couple little snippets, if you will, and take any questions now that we're out of time, I think.
Any last questions for Olga? All right. And thank you for sharing your contact information, Olga, and for the work that your team is doing. We appreciate you taking time to be here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And I apologize that my share screen didn't work. I don't know what happened.
No worries, it happens. I think Steph will shift it back to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to pass it right back to Malia.
Hi, everyone. We can go over this fairly quickly. I know we're short on time, but we wanted to at least show everybody what we've been working on for the 2025 DRMAC membership. And we now have it's password protected. So if you're a current member and paid up for the 2025 year, you will be receiving an email soon from Arthur, and it will explain a little bit more about this page. But I'm going to stop this share, and I'm going to share real quickly the actual website with everybody. But what we have for the most part is we'll have a little link here. This will have all members. It's a directory for the members and community connections that it will have people that are from our meetings and presenters. If you couldn't remember what their name or email was from the chat, you can find that all here under the directory. We'll always have DRMAC's next big event coming up and a countdown for that. And we will be having new things coming up in the community that will be posted here, and you can get the full calendar of all events by clicking on that link. The next section we have is a discussion board. Steph has posted something there welcoming everybody, but we encourage everybody to come on here and have discussions about whether it's transportation or just other resources that they're looking for in the community. If they have any job opportunities, you can always post those things here as well. And then on the bottom part of the web page is going to be resources from the community. We're constantly having touch points with all these different demographics, and so we wanted to help our members by gathering a lot of those resources in one space. So we will have it by county that you can search. We also have categories that will filter down for you for whatever specific subject you might be looking for. Again, you'll get an email from Arthur explaining this a bit more, giving you the password for the 2025 year, but we wanted to announce it. We're pretty excited for what this might turn into down the line. So thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoy this page as much as we've enjoyed making it for you.
Awesome. Next, I'm going to talk about, I mentioned it earlier, and hopefully you all got an email potentially, but we will be hosting our kind of, I guess, first-ish technology training session on February 27th from 1 to 2 p.m. I'm going to paste a link in the chat to the RSVP page that's on Eventbrite. But this will be an in-person event, in-person training, again, from 1 to 2 at the Denver Public Library, the Fort Warren branch, the same place that we just held our LCC lunch last week. This class will be focusing on security and privacy using smartphones. So we'll cover things like passcode, Face ID, setting those up, some accessibility functions, and then we'll be talking about like how to recognize some scams and kind of navigate those. The class is geared towards someone who has never used their smartphone before or these features and kind of wants to learn about those. And we're hoping that like with this training, the folks who take it will have a better idea of, of course, navigating their smartphone, but then being able to go on and take more classes, like, for example, our Lyft and Uber, or sorry, our now Bird and Uber training, and just will feel better about navigating some of those transit options in the community. So like I mentioned, you can click the link in the chat to RSVP for that class, or you can email me. I'll also put my email in the chat. If you don't have access to a computer or email, you can also just RSVP if you want to call our INA line at 303-243-3113. I'll put those in the chat as well. And if, of course, any accommodations are desired prior to the training, please let us know. But I'm excited. It'll be a 30-minute practice session and then 30-minute learning session combined in the hour. And then everyone who attends will receive a in-depth printed step-by-step guide explaining everything that we'll talk about. So you can go home and ideally be able to just reference the guide and practice on your own. So questions about that? Okay, cool. Hope to have some of you there, and please feel free to share this information with your communities. We're trying to, spread the word as much as possible. So I appreciate it in advance. So thank you. And I will pass it to Colleen.
Thanks, Steph. Stephanie has done a great job putting that program together, and hopefully it will help to bridge some of the digital divide issues that we have, and especially as it relates to like using some of the transportation apps and stuff like that. So good job, Steph. We're excited. Well, we're going to take this time to maybe open the floor up to all of you to see if anyone has any community updates or anything that you would like to share or questions. We'll just give you all the floor right now.
Hi, this
Don't
is
get
Susanna. I just had
Susanna.
a comment here. I wanted to share that I really heavily depend on the Getting There resource guides. I share them everywhere I go because as the presentation that was done formally has shared, transportation is a big need, especially for older adults who have accessibility and mobility issues. And I was informed recently that we are not going to be able to get more of those Getting There resource guides to be able to pass out in the community. And although the website is great, it is not very user-friendly for older adults because they do not access the internet. So I just wanted to plant a seed and ask if there is any way that you could consider exploring the possibility of having these guides accessible, especially for the older population who will not use the internet. Thank you.
No, and I understand, and I think Latoya talked to me a little bit about a conversation that both of you had. Now, I want to make sure that I'm clear. How many guides have you received previously, Susanna?
Many.
Many,
I
yeah.
tell you, they are very popular in the community and
Yeah.
they go very quickly.
So, okay, and I love that. That's cool. I love it. But I think when we budgeted this year, we were thinking that we would do 20 per org. Now, maybe that's not a realistic, but each guide that we print is like $6 per print. So that's why we've been trying to be more fiscally responsible, I guess, to use that buzzword. We've been trying to get people to maybe go to the website, understanding that a lot of people want to touch the paper copy. I understand. So how about let's you, me, and Latoya talk offline after this and see if what kind of resolution we come, because we want you to share them. We just have to kind of balance that with cost because we are a nonprofit organization. Does that make sense?
I totally understand, and I would
Okay.
definitely like to have a conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, let's do. We'll connect after this. Thank you. And thank you for sharing them. We appreciate it.
I have something to share. I mentioned it at our LCC lunch, but Uber was a part of a I guess town hall meeting last week talking about the self-ID function in the Uber app. So for those who aren't familiar, it is now a live function. So users who are traveling with guide dogs or service animals can toggle on a function in the Uber app. Disclosing to the driver upon pickup that they're traveling with a guide dog. And the kind of goal for all of this is to prevent drivers from canceling rides when they show up and they see that the rider has a dog with them, and they cancel the ride, and then that rider's left stranded. So this is a live function now, and I'm gonna do a really poor job, I think, verbally explaining it. So I'll make sure that that information is included in the follow-up email to all of you as well. But just wanted to share that as well, because that's a very new thing. You don't have to, of course, if you're traveling with a guide dog or a service animal, you do not have to self-identify. That's kind of the benefit of having it be a toggle that you can select to opt in, or you can just continue to opt out. Either way, it is always illegal for a driver. It goes against ADA guidelines and also Uber policy to decline a ride for someone who's traveling with a guide dog or service animal. So you do not have to opt in, but just wanted to share that because that's an exciting new feature that's out there.
I also wanted to remind everybody too that if you need a get in there guide, or you know someone, another adult that needs a physical get in there guide, they can always call us at our 303-243-3113, and we'll be happy to mail one to them. Thank you.
Jamie?
Yeah, I went to a meeting yesterday with Denver Streets Partnership, and they've been doing a lot of good work for almost a decade. They're the reasons why we're getting new sidewalks here pretty soon. Unfortunately, because of the nonprofit climate, they're thinking about closing their doors in April. Lack of funding.
Heard that.
Yeah, lack of funding and lack of, most of the members, they just claim that they have very, very little capacity. As I was looking at the slide deck, I noticed that, Dr. Mack had been pretty active in the early days and kind of weaned off a little bit. And even though, Dr. Mack focuses on human health service transportation, there is a crossover with the general concepts of transportation that Denver Streets Partnership addresses, like the sidewalks, closing streets to pedestrians, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to plant the seed to see, because you guys have such a great staff. I'm sorry, I've never seen a staff so, helpful and young and bright. And so if there's anything you guys can contribute, what we're hoping to do is to get a little bit from everybody to keep it alive. We're thinking about going to more of a information sharing model like we're doing here. But obviously, like you said, we do human, health connections here versus the Denver Streets Partnership that does the overall transportation vision. So just something to think about. If there's something you can contribute from staff to help them stay together, contact Jill or myself, and we'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. That's the world we're in right now. I know, and they're such a valuable organization. I think we're all scraping for scraps and funding right now, trying to just keep the doors open. So maybe I'd love to talk to you or Jill to see how we can help or maybe work together. I know we were more active and we had some staffing changes. Diana was specifically attending all of the Denver Street Partnership meetings. And I think we've kind of, my fault, I'm going to take the ownership for this, lost that connection once she left, because I don't believe we put anyone back in place there. But I do sign off on some of their initiatives. I do receive the newsletter. And so I have a pretty good idea about what's going on in their organization. So yeah, let's chat. Let's chat, Jamie. That's what we can do.
Thank you. That's all I ask.
Of course. We got to work together, especially with limited funding. We definitely have to work more closely together to help more folks. You know what, Brent?
I have two events going on in March for DD Awareness Month. I told everyone at that LCC luncheon last week, but I'm telling the whole group, December 6th at the Capitol is Disability Rights Advocacy Day from 9:30 to 1, but the times might change. And on the March 19th is IDD Awareness Day. These days are for people with disabilities and all abilities to come to the Capitol to be seen and talking to legislators about issues that concerning the disability community.
And Brent, did you say the other one was December? There's two events, right? One December, one March?
No, March 6th and March
Okay,
19th.
okay.
I will send them to Latoya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'd love to attend and share out. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Come and check and screen and see if I see any hands. Any more updates, comments, concerns? No.
There's a free legal clinic event hosted for the newcomer community where they will be advising about power of attorney on February 13. I wanted to share this with everybody in this call, in this meeting, if they're interested. Also, if you know anybody that needs transportation to get to this type of event, please tell them to give us a call to our INA line. Thank you.
Look, that's a good update. I forgot about that one. Thank you, Maria. And there's a question for you in the chat, Maria. Is it a recurring meeting?
I believe it's a one-time only. This event was shared during the border migration meeting. Immigrant affairs meeting. I'm assistant, but that's the information I have so far. Is just one of the many events that are going on in Denver to assist immigrant population. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else? And I know we're almost at time, but I'm just gonna pick on someone because I know they shared some good stuff during the LCC meeting. I see some of the MAC staff on here, and I know you guys have some stuff coming up. Do any of you guys want to share what you have coming up here? So, no, leave us alone, Colleen. Okay.
I feel just during winter we just are a little bit more shy on events. I feel summer definitely is when we're more out in the community networking, but
I
yeah.
agree. I agree. All right. Well, In addition to our member spotlight, we'd like to give a special shout out to our Dr. Mac members. If you aren't already a Dr. Mac member, head over to our website to unlock all the perks, and there's still time. And if someone could please put the link to the membership page in the chat, I'd really appreciate it. All right, well, we're just about at time, and that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Thank you all for attending and learning with us. We look forward to seeing you at next month's Regional Coordinating Council meeting scheduled for March 4th, 1:30 to 3 p.m. on Zoom. We will be focusing on the benefits of being an active community member. The registration links for all 2025 meetings can be found on our website. And I also want to say, if you are actively participating in an LCC, please share the word that everyone who participates in an LCC should be attending the quarterly RCC meetings. And thanks again, and we will see you all next month. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.